Okay, everybody, ancient Egypt and Nubia. We're talking about the culture now of the ancient Egyptians. This is section 4. You see three pictures depicting what was important to the Egyptians. Of course, pyramid building, afterlife on the left. And on the far right, you see the activity with the Nile River and the trading. So much of what we know about everyday life of the Egyptians was learned through paintings and written records. If you look at the paintings, they tell stories. They're very intricate and detailed, and they show the everyday lives of the Egyptians, their farming, their home life, their religious life. Let's look at the social classes. Egyptian society, of course, resembled a pyramid, much like the other cultures we've studied. At the top, of course, is the pharaoh. Underneath the pharaoh, you have the nobles, the priests, and the members of the court. Underneath that level, you have the merchants, the skilled workers, which much would be like the middle class. And then underneath that, you will have the peasants and the workers, the common workers, like the lower class. And then, of course, the slaves, which really were left off of the pyramid. They were the bottom, the class that could not inherit land or anything in life. They just had a life of servitude. Okay, so let's look at the lives of the peasants. Most of them worked the land of wealthy people. So when the floodwaters left the land was ready for farming. The peasants were involved with all of the farming. The men, the women, and the children all helped in the harvest, which was a great time of feasts and big dinners. The Egyptian women were quite beautiful. In terms of ancient women of the time, they were looked upon as a model of Isis, Osiris's wife. Women in Egypt could own property, they could run businesses, they could enter into legal contracts. They also could supervise the farm work. And if, depending upon your class, if you were an upper class person, like a noble woman, you could be in charge of temples, or you could become a regent. Now, Egypt as a whole also achieved many achievements. Learning was extremely important to them. As you can see, these hieroglyphics was their system of writing. Papyrus was the paper that they made from reeds from the Delta region. Now, in 1799, the Rosetta Stone was found in Rosetta, Egypt, which was in the Delta. And this stone had the key to understanding hieroglyphs. So it was very, very important. In 1799, all of this was uncovered. Beyond the writing and the hieroglyphs, the Egyptians also had to predict when the Nile would flood. So time was important, the charting of time and understanding time. So scientists who were called astronomers, these scientists studied the stars to track when the Nile would flood, would advise the pharaoh of when the right time was to plant and when the time came when the Nile River would flood and so forth. So with all of the astronomy and the predictions of the Nile, the Egyptians discovered that the year has 365 days, as we know of it today. Aside from astronomy, we also had tremendous advancements in medicine. The ancient Egyptians, because of mummification and the body, they knew a lot about the human body. They learned to perform surgery. They learned to set broken bones. They also used plants for medicine. As you could see, it's called herbalism, that they would use the medicine from plants to cure and help disease. All right, so what are the key ideas to remember here? What do we know about Egyptian culture? We know that the Egyptians had social classes, and each class had people who had the same jobs, background, and wealth. We know this from viewing their art and written records. How were Egyptian women viewed? Women were looked upon as models of Isis and were able to run businesses, supervise farm work, and even rise as a regent if they were from noble families. What were some of the achievements of the Egyptians? Egyptians knew about the human body and performed surgery. They developed medicines from plants. They developed their own type of paper called papyrus. They created their own system of writing called hieroglyphics. And they developed astronomy to understand time, which is the calendar, and to learn when the Nile River would flood.